Welcome to Really Cool Stuff for the Home podcast, sponsored by Homeworks. And now with today's show on all the ways to improve your home is your host, Denise Sanchez.
Hello, everybody. This is Denise at Homeworks, Really Cool Stuff for the Home. And you know what? We do a lot of video podcasts on all the luxury appliances that we sell, some unique workstations, and we'll be talking about our central vacuums and home automation. But we also offer some services that are quite unique. For instance, cutlery. People don't realize how your cutlery, it needs to be sharpened professionally. Just using those little knife sharpening things is not the only way to achieve a result. So we work with a lot of chefs, and I started asking chefs about their knives. You know how they always package their knives like in these roll out, kind of canvas things or leather bags. I mean, they tote them around. They're like their tools or specialized tools. And they were telling me about a knife sharpening service that they use. And so we got in touch with this knife sharpening service company, and I wanted to go over that with you, how important it is. I'm going to introduce you to Dominique Besson. Is that correct, how you say your last name? Yeah. Okay. I know you don't know this, Dominique, but I have some French blood. In fact, my dad was 100% French. His name was Robert Joseph Levesque, Levesque. Okay. E-S-Q-U-E. So yeah. My name, Denise Levesque. So, and he was 100%. He came in from his family from France, and then they went to Quebec in Canada, and then he came down, his family, to Boston in Massachusetts. So we have that in common. But tell me a little bit about your company. Before we talk about this service, I want to know a little bit about your company and where this accent comes from. So there's got to be a little bit of background story here, and I want to share that with my audience.
Sure. Well, as your father, I'm 100% French. I was born in France, born and raised. I came in the U.S. I was 27 years old.
Wow.
Out of a dream. That was a dream for me. And yes, I did accomplish that dream. Came in the U.S. and started because, not all Frenchmen, but look, I was a cook. I cooked for over 20 something years. So I knew that I could basically wherever I wanted to be in the world with cooking, French cooking, I could go anywhere.
Yes. Oh, much coveted.
Right?
Yes.
So my goal was to be in the U.S., so that's what I did. I came to the U.S. I had an opportunity. I was hired by a company out of Los Angeles to come to work in the U.S., so I did. There we go. So that's that. So I worked for many years in kitchens, but I always had that thought behind my mind that it's a young man game. When you get to a point at a certain age, it's really difficult to keep up. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I looked at some of the avenues and things. So I've learned along the way. After I left cooking, I learned how to sell. I learned how to work with certain companies, and ultimately, I've created Star Knife Sharpening about 14 years ago now.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And you're a little bit different because when you come to our the service that we offer, you come to my store twice a month, and you bring this big, high-tech, huge van, and we give you the knives. You don't leave the premise. You do everything in this high-tech van that has all these unique apparatuses to give you these great sharp edges. And there was something on here that I read that let's see, you address more than just dull knives. You restore every blade by not just sharpening, but also reshaping, thinning, and even serrating as necessary. So how do you do that? That's incredible. And I know there's some beveling and degrees and that sort of thing. And I want you to explain that.
Okay. Well, first, let's talk about the van. The van is because when I decided to create this business, I said, I either I go big or I stay home. Mm-hmm. So I decided to do it the most seriously possible I could. So therefore, the equipment and the stock, because I do sell knife as well, but the stock I had to have some kind of an equipment like this to do that, to look also to the chef because you mentioned the van, you had so many rinky-dink out there that would pull out 2 grinders and on the street and grind knives, and here you go, you have a sharp knife. It's not the way I wanted to operate. I came from, after cooking, I went to work for big corporation. So I've learned from that if you do something, you do it right, you don't do it at all. So that's why I used to do that. Now, as far as the knives themselves, there's a lot of, different knife, different functions.
Right.
And you find out that there is also different geometry depending on the knife itself. A chef knife, most of the time, I mean, for those that work with the German knives, obviously, but also some of the Japanese, you have some kind of a rock, some kind of a slight bow to the knife. Why is that? It's about when you cut, you rock with the knife, so it makes it much easier for you to cut. Mm-hmm. Instead of pounding or instead of fighting with the knife. The knife is a tool. The tool is supposed to, facilitate your life, not make it more complicated.
Exactly.
So we address the geometry of the knife. We make sure the geometry is correct when we sharpen the knives, but otherwise no point of sharpening it. Mm-hmm. 2, most of the knives are coming into a thicker edge. So what does that mean? That means that if we do a thicker edge, this edge is not going to last for your customers and my customers. Yes, it is going to be sharp to start with, but it will dull very quickly. So the goal here is not only to provide the sharp edge, but provide a sharp edge which lasts, which for our customers, you and me, these basically our customers, we see them pretty much once a year.
No, I'm seeing people coming in twice a year. They so love
because they're addicted to it.
See the difference. It makes your work so much easier and faster.
Exactly.
Cutting a tomato or cutting a steak or anything, it's so much faster.
Exactly. That's the balance we achieve all the time, or we try to achieve all the time, is to get a knife that is sharp, but the sharpness will last. It's easy to give back to do a sharp knife, but if the customer comes back 2 months later because the knife is dull, this is a disservice to the customer. This is not fair. But if we give, and those who come every 6 months, is because they're addicted to the sharpness. They want the knife sharp all the time. So those we take care of also, but it's pretty much that. That's pretty much
chef type people, that do a lot of cooking.
Every day.
Yes, exactly.
Every day. We for the serrated knives, basically, as you use the knife, you wear out the teeth, like you wear out your knife, your straight edge knife. Mm-hmm. You wear out the edge. On a serrated knife, you do the same thing. You wear out the serration. It takes longer because you don't use that knife much as often as you would a regular knife. However, they go dull and you lose the teeth. Well, we have a magic diamond-coated wheel, something that we use that will be able to bring back the bread knife, put some teeth back on the bread knife so the bread knife can last longer. Typically in the past, basically a knife sharpener, when the teeth were getting worn out, what they would do is that they would change that knife into a straight edge. But they didn't know. I didn't have any equipment to do that. For us, as long as we have metal, we'll make a bread knife out of it. We'll keep a bread knife running, basically, is what we do.
And people are now, I think, understanding that your cutlery, they are tools, so right. They're investing in better knives. So this becomes even more important. And like those Japanese knives, I understand that is very, very, it's not everyone that can sharpen those type of knives. Is that correct? And you're certified on this kind of stuff too, right?
Star is a recommended knife sharpener for Sean. The Sean Cutlery people recommended us. As a matter of fact, for over 2 years, because when you buy a Sean knife, you get a lifetime free sharpening. But there's a caveat to it. You have to ship it back to Oregon and wait another 2-3 weeks, yada, yada. Yeah. So for a while, they didn't have a good sharpener back in Oregon. So they contracted us for the Midwest. So Star was sharpening basically and repairing all the knives, the Sean knives in the Midwest. So we were getting pretty much 2, 3, 4 orders a day of people that needed their knife sharpened. So we were recommended by Sean for that. But So that's the main name, but we are also by Victorinox. We are recommended by Wusthof, Henkel's. Actually, Wusthof and Victorinox are using the same equipment that we do as far as sharpening in the US. Kikuichi, which is a very big name in Japan. It's a 700 years old company, owned the same family for 700 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Wow. I have a question.
Yes.
So if you bought a really good knife and you really invested in a good knife and you had it sharpened by someone like you, how long would you expect, a typical, someone that cooks a lot, but maybe not a chef, not a chef type. How long would that knife, do you expect it to last?
As far as the sharpness of it, it depends. There's so many factors into it. But basically, if they take care of the knives, a Japanese knife usually is a fairly thin edge. It's a thinner edge than would be a German. Example, a German, we will sharpen it at about 17 degrees, but that's pretty much the thinness we're going to go with it. We're not going to go thinner because otherwise the edge becomes fragile. A Japanese, we can go down to 15, 14, 13 degrees, which make the knife much thinner. And if you maintain that edge, you're good for a good year before you come back to me and take care of it. Unless you do some things that you're not supposed to do with it.
Then how long would that knife last as far as being
the lifetime of the knife? Oh,
on a good knife.
Good knives. I mean, you're in for 15, 20 years if you take care of it. Oh, yes. I mean, it's recommended eventually to change, to renew your cutlery, because cutlery is like a tool. It's like a cookware that you sell. It's like even the high-end beautiful washer, dryer, and things like that. Eventually, they don't do what they were supposed to do to start with because they get old. It's the same thing with a knife. Eventually, as the sharpening starts, you have a thin edge, and as you start to sharpen it, you go more into.
Right, that's what I was wondering. Yes, exactly.
So you get up in a blade because a blade is a V shape. So eventually, you just treat yourself every 20 years onto a beautiful $200, $250 beautiful Japanese knife, and you're good to go.
Yeah. A lot of people have so many knives, and I know that before I used to sharpen my knives with you, I would get one knife, try to work with it, get another knife, and what it was they weren't sharp enough, and so I was trying to find something that would cut better, work better, like even cutting a potato. That can be very, very dangerous if your blade is not sharp. You would the other way, that if you had a sharp knife, it might be more dangerous.
No.
But it just it goes right through that potato where you're fighting it when you have a dull knife. I can't.
Exactly. It's dangerous.
Yes.
It's more dangerous.
And I used to hate carving up like the turkey or, roast. I hated it because it was all to do with my knives.
Yes.
It's just amazing. And there are other things that you do. Tell us some unique things that you sharpen. And I know even through my store, you've seen some unusual things.
I got some unusual stories. Once I sharpened a glass knife. Literally a knife made out of glass. Somebody asked me to sharpen that. In San Antonio, I did sharpen a 110 years old ceremonial blade swords that was for the guard of the king of Thailand.
Oh my goodness!
That was a beautiful thing. Somebody else asked me, and I had to cut pepper, by the way. That somebody asked me to sharpen their Japanese katana. I had to be that was a 30-some inch long blade. And the guy, when I sharpened it, I said, the thing is ready. The first thing he did was took a piece of paper and see if he could cut
the
paper with it.
Wow, that's sharp.
It is sharp. So I had some odd stuff like this that's you wonder, but after all, after that, you get used to the unusual kind of deal. Yes.
Right. And even in my store, you've done I think like a Confederate buck knife type of thing you did.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And shears, when you think about a good quality shears, scissors, we hear that all the time. Seamstress that sharp knives, and that's really critical. And just the other day, I had a customer come in. They had bought a peeling knife from us. Remember?
The Rosé, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And she asked, could you sharpen this? And you looked at it and you go, yeah, I can do it. And you did it. I mean, it was amazing. The things
that was the first, by the way. That was the first.
Because that was a good tool.
Because Rosé design. I know the company because I've been in the circuit for a long time, so I know them. I know Rosé. Rosé designed good, high quality product, and when they designed the peeler, they thought about. I don't think they thought about maybe making it resharpenable, but at least you should be able to replace the blade if you want to.
Right.
That's what Rosé thinks about that stuff instead of putting a blade when he's just throw it away. You have to do that.
German company. And is it true that the best knives, except the Japanese knives, are made in Solingen, Germany? Is that true?
Oh, you have you have to think. You have to go back in history. Solingen is because it's known to be the cradle of knife making in Germany. But if you go to Toledo in Spain, Toledo is the cradle of knife making in Spain. If you go to Thiers in France, this is the cradle of knife making in France, because all those, the 14, 15, and well, maybe even before that, when they needed swords, they had to have some kind of a complex manufacturing that thing. So Solingen is the cradle for Germany, Thiers for France, Toledo for Spain. So they all their countries. You talk about Seki for Japan. So all countries have their own place where, because of the soil too, most of the time, Thiers is because it's very volcanic. So they're able to pull out some minerals and things like that to make knives. So that's why. But Solingen is German, and German is the one because the knife took an evolution from 70, 80 years ago, when all the knives were made out of high carbon. So they were very prone to rust, prone to do all that kind of stuff and stain and so on and so forth. So the German developed that I want to call it non-stain. I don't want to call it stainless because it's not true. It's a non-stain high carbon steel product, alloy actually. And they were the one to come up with this particular alloy. Therefore, after that, all Europe has been using the same steel to make their knives, basically, make some of their stain-free knives. But Wusthof and Henkel's are really the big names in the Western world as far as knife making. So, Solingen became almost the epicenter of Europe for knife making because of that.
Because I noticed that when I would go in and look at knives, before, and I used to sell some knives. We're going to be selling some more. And I want to talk to you about your knife selections too. No, I did not know, shame on you, that you sold knives. I didn't know that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I noticed that all the knives I was looking at, they were all made in Solingen, Germany. I said, what's up with this, And what are some of the brands on the Portugal side and the Spanish side? Do you call any of those?
There is one company in Portugal that used to make some knives. I used to carry them. They went away for a while. They had some importing issues, so we kind of fell by the wayside. The reason why the German got stronger and more popular is because of their powerhouse. So Wusthof and Henkel really came in the U.S., came on the market, and sold their product. The Little Bitty French was the Sabatier brand, but Wusthof and Henkel's are really the two powerhouse that came on the American market, sold their product, did well with it. They had a great quality product to provide to customers.
Well priced.
And the rest is history, basically. So that's the reason why whatever you look into, a lot of knives, it's all made in Solingen because they have the facilities, they have the know-how, they have everything to make a knife that works a while and that is worth the money. So it became by default from the others, if I may say. I mean, the French, the Spaniard, even the Italians, or even the Portuguese, by default, they became the big names.
Yeah, the go-to product.
Exactly.
So why would you use a Japanese knife, which they're so different than the German knives? Why are their knives so different? Can you explain on that?
Yes. Okay. The Japanese, so let's start by the beginning. A German knife, I always compare it to be a 4x4. I mean, the German have been concentrating on making a knife that will go through almost everything. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So that's about 4x4. Now, if you look into the Japanese knife, they're more concentrating. It's more of a Ferrari. It's more of a delicate, a very reliable but delicate product. The reason why is that the Japanese, their philosophy is completely different. The philosophy of making a knife is when you cut, you should not even bruise the fiber. See, it represents the fibers. And when you cut, you should not be pulling them. They should be clean, completely clean, because they believe, and it's true, that you alter the taste of the food if you bruise the fiber. So therefore, the Japanese are making knife much thinner. So at 12 between 12 and 15 degrees basically on the edge. So the thinner the better, obviously. And to stick to that philosophy of if when I cut, I should not be bruising the fiber.
So you would want to have both type of knives,
right?
So
correct.
What kind of things would you prepare with the Japanese knife over the German type knife?
Well, I mean, in the store, as you may know, we opened a store too in San Antonio not too long ago. So we're doing a lot of that, a lot of helping people to understand that. But basically, it is have a German knife for all the heavy work. I mean, splitting a watermelon, right. cut a potato, cut a chicken in half. Do all the big vegetables, the butternut squash, all that kind of stuff, all the squashes and everything like this. Use a German knife for that. For the Japanese, once the thing is broken down and you want more precise cut and easier cut, because that's going to go through the products much easier because the V of the blade is much thinner because of that. Mm-hmm. So you use your Japanese knife. Or for precise, when you cut herbs, when you cut salad, when you cut things like that. Herbs are very fragile, but if you cut with a Japanese knife, you're not going to bruise the fiber again. So the taste of the herbs, the taste of the salad, and all that things are going to stay a bit more whole, a bit tastier.
Yeah. And I can see that because I know when I'm cutting up like cilantro or something, that a knife will crush.
Yes.
Right, crush it.
Yes, like basil, same way. Yes, okay. Exactly.
Well, that is very educational. I just learned something big. So you just opened up a store in San Antonio?
Yes, we just opened a store at the Island Commercial Center on Northwest Military.
Okay, all right. So what type of knives are you selling? Is there a brand name or?
Yes, we do. We do sell Sean, Miyabi, Henkel's. We sell Victorinox. We sell. It's pretty much an extension of what we had in a truck, but on a little bit on a bigger scale as far as the knife. Kikuichi we sell. We're getting into some. We import knife directly from Japan that we're going to bring that are being made right now that we're bringing in. We also work with local artisan. I've got a gentleman in Houston making a knife for us that we're going to sell at the
I think I saw a picture of that you were showing us, and they're like real artsy, right? They're what does he use for his handles? Is that the one?
He's going to be using some G10. It's coming. It should be finished by now. So we have that. We teamed up also with a gentleman out of Austin that makes cutting board.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
And a very thick cutting board made out of no dye, no whatsoever, no chemical, none whatsoever with it. And he's a small guy that makes that. So we also try within the store, try to support that as well. Try to find some people that can do things like that for us.
And I love that you're getting some local. We're in Texas, so
Exactly.
it's kind of cool that you're bringing, local artisans that
Yes.
in Texas.
That's important to us.
Yes. I have products that are, made in France, Italy, Germany, but it is nice to be able to offer something that's American made, and then especially made in Texas.
There you go. Yes. Yes. That's why we try to do that. We try to support those guys, which is, it's rewarding. We're in Texas. We have to support each other for making it happening here.
And I really have enjoyed it. You're a lot of fun when you come in. You're always so happy. And my customers we do it the first and third Monday of every month. And they'll bring me the knives either Friday or Saturday before, and they can come and pick it up that same day. And they love that you don't leave with the knives, that you're right there in our parking lot with this big, huge van. That's kind of neat too, that, and it does help with I did not know you were a chef.
Oh yeah.
That gives you some street cred,
I did it for over 20 years. And once in a while, I still had my hitch. It's in my DNA. So sometimes it does happen when right now it's been so busy with all the things happening and the routes, because we have a route in Austin. We have a route in Austin, one in San Antonio, and one in Houston. So I got to supervise all that good stuff. So I haven't had the time, but sometime, since it's in my DNA, sometime I'm going to get the itch, and it's going to take about 3-4 months in my brain to develop a menu. I do it, but after that I got to bring some more. So I call up the friends and say, "Hey, I cooked something. Now why don't you come and eat it?"
Well, listen, I have this chef center, this Blue Star Chef Center, and I have it's a company, American company, and they were only commercial. So I've got the open burner, I've got the large ovens, I've got the low simmer. I know where you can practice. And I know we can help you out with all the food. I know we can do that for you. We have to get you in there. I'm serious. I did not know that. Oh, you're dead. I've got you. I had no idea. I all these years that I've known you too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, when I come in, I'm coming in because I'm in between two stops, and you're in because sometimes you barely, you pick up the phone and you're signing the check at the same time you're doing the phone.
I know, I'm busy. I know that.
It doesn't matter how it's done.
No, it's so bad. But I'm going to tap into some of your, your expertise. I mean, definitely. I'm totally impressed. I'm even more impressed with you. And I'm so glad that we can offer this service. This is, again, Homeworks, really cool stuff for the home. We don't just offer products, we service everything we sell. We warranty everything we sell. We install everything we sell, whether it's a central vacuum, a home automation, an appliance. But a neat service that we offer is your sharpening skills. It's your company is called Sharp. Let me make sure I got it right. Start Sharpening. And you even have a website.
Yes, sharpening.com is for the mobile service, more of the whole food, the wholesale service and everything. Right. And we have for the store is starchefstore.com.
Okay.
And then you can visit us there too if you like.
And I really appreciate, what a surprise, all the things I learned. And I always learn about knives, and that's very interesting. I'm going to invest in a Japanese knife now, because I do a lot of Japanese cooking. Now, I am half French, but my husband is half Japanese. So you can imagine the type of foods that we prepare.
Now think about something, Denise, okay? Yes. The Japanese cutlery didn't start to be what as right now as the the Shon or some of the other, or the Miyabis and stuff. The Japanese cutlery was a single bevel knife. Okay, that was like a sushi knife basically.
Right.
And the Japanese, when they saw that there was some kind of a good evolution to take by doing this type of knives, they inspired themselves more from the French cutlery making than the German cutlery making.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the French cutlery, the French knives are a little bit different on the making. There's less bolster than you would have. Remember when you had some cutlery on the store that at one point, the bolster that you had, the French were much smaller. The profile of the knife is much toward the tip. It's much thinner. It's a little bit more thinner blades. That would be the German. And the Japanese, inspired themselves a little bit of the way the French were making their knives compared to what the Germans were doing.
Yeah,
so there you go. See?
Yeah, so they evolved too. Look at how people are starting to buy. I mean, we have Japanese knives all the time that you come and you sharpen.
Yes.
It used to be you didn't see too much of that, but now that's pretty common. And now I understand why. I don't want to be crushing my cilantro.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want it to be turning brown before you
know, exactly. Well, at HomeWorks, we do offer products and services to make your homework better for you. Again, you can go to starknifesharpening.com.
Right.
To see some of his offerings, or you can go to homeworkssa.com or stop by our store. And this is the first and third Monday of every month. Homework will make your homeworks better for you. And Dominique, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For being my guest host. You did a great job, and I learned something, and I know my audience is going to learn.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.